Alright guys, what's going on? It's Jack and welcome back to another video, and welcome to Modern Warfare 3 in the year 2023. Now, I will say that obviously the previous game that I played before this one was Call of Duty Black Ops 1, and the transition of going from Call of Duty Black Ops 1 to Modern Warfare 3 was not only night and day, but it was very, very noticeable that Modern Warfare 3 is actually a smoother feeling game in a multitude of ways compared to Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Now, does that make Call of Duty Black Ops 1 a bad game, and does it make Modern Warfare 3 a superior game? Not necessarily. It really just depends. It's subjective. It really depends on your preference and your point of view of a game, and in terms of what makes a good game and what doesn't. Like I said previously, like with the inconsistencies with the hit detection and connection in Black Ops 1, everything else about the game was really, really good, and that we kind of let it slide and we just kind of lived with it, so to speak. And Modern Warfare 3 had, just like any other COD out there, Modern Warfare 3 has its own issues, right? It's got its own issues, and it's got its own things that made it as good as it was. And I will say right off the bat right now, this is my opinion of Modern Warfare 3 in terms of the very basic opinions, and that is the fact that I believe that this game is very very underrated and even underappreciated to a certain extent, because this game, first of all, took inspiration within itself. And what I mean by this is that how do I put this? It took inspiration within itself because it didn't really take anything from any other game. Like with current Call of Duties or other Call of Duties that we've seen in the past, they have basically been inspired to some degree by other games, right? Obviously, Black Ops 4 was inspired by some... Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 were inspired by Destiny to a certain extent, and Black Ops 4 was a little bit inspired by Overwatch to a certain extent. At least what we were supposed to get with Black Ops 4, and then it changed. They reverted back to more Call of Duty, thank God. But basically, Call of Duties have been inspired by other games as of recently, right? In more recent times. But in 2011, when we got Modern Warfare 3, it was inspired by itself, because what was Call of Duty compared to, like, let's say Halo, which was the other first-person shooter multiplayer juggernaut that it was being compared to, right? Despite the fact that they were different, what was one of the main differences that attracted to people to Call of Duty? And that's the fact that it gave you options, right? Call of Duty was the game that actually gave you options. You can set up your own class, and in different ways, you can put attachment on your weapons and use those in different ways. Things that you simply couldn't do with Halo, right? Well, Modern Warfare 3 doubled down on this. And what they did was they gave us even more options within what made the franchise really good in the first place. So it was the first game to reward people for playing the objective. And it was also the first game to introduce the strike package system. So you had your assault, your support, your specialist, with obviously the specialist being the standout. Specialist is absolutely brilliant. Basically, every 2 kills, you unlock another perk. Once you get to 8 perks, you unlock every single perk, and you're basically like a super soldier. But you can't call in your assault streaks, because again, your streak package is in the form of perks. So, yeah, I think it was the best form of specialist that we've ever had, and a lot of people have been calling for it to come back ever since. And it's only going to be a matter of time before we do, in my opinion. In some way, shape, or form, I do believe, especially if Call of Duty ends up getting its head out of its ass, at some point in time, I think we will get specialists, like we remember from Modern Warfare 3. But with that being said, that was one of the things that stood out as a great thing in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. And the weapon proficiencies, of course, were like an additional perk, but something that would help with your weapon. Well, to a certain extent, help with your weapon. But you guys get the point. They gave us additional prestige levels. Again, this game was so good in terms of its base, its foundation. Its foundation was excellent. It just wasn't received as well. Maybe it was because some people just didn't like the maps, some people didn't like the death streaks, and things like that. You know, again, with the Call of Duty community, when it comes to our community here in the Call of Duty franchise, or should I say, let me rephrase that, into the arcade shooter community at this point, right? So when it comes to this type of community, it really doesn't take much, just like any other game out there, like any other franchise. For some people, it really doesn't take much to either A, stick around. Like, there's some aspects of a game, despite how many flaws it may have, it's going to keep a player sticking around, because there's some aspect of the game that they love very much, right? And at the same time, conversely, there's also the chance that something could scare people away, or just not want them to play the game because of, again, something that they've implemented or taken away. And I think that's partially of what made Modern Warfare 3 kind of a mixed bag for a lot of people. And what I mean by this is despite the fact that Modern Warfare 3 was really heavily, it was very heavily supported by the developers in terms of, as well as the community support, because their big thing with Modern Warfare 3 was they wanted to give it balance, right? They wanted to reward every single type of player and every single type of play style, and they wanted it to be accessible, but at the same time they gave players the tools in terms of how to get better, right? So and many options, of course. Again, I would define Modern Warfare 3 as the Call of Duty, the classic Call of Duty with options. And again, this was before Black Ops 2, you know, so that's another thing that a lot of people need to bear in mind, is that this game was the one that came out before Black Ops 2, so therefore I wouldn't be surprised if the game to a certain extent actually influenced Black Ops 2, even though an Infinity Ward game is quite different from a Treyarch game, which is something that still remains true to this day. You can't really help but appreciate what we got, especially since all these years later we find out that this game was made in 9 months. You know, it was made in 9 months, and it was developed by the guys that were the remaining of the Infinity Ward team after Zampella and West left, as well as Sledgehammer Games. So those two guys putting everything together with the game was just absolutely incredible in just 9 months. We still got a full release of the game. We got your campaign, you got your Spec Ops Survival as well, I believe. And then, of course, your full-on multiplayer. I mean, we got the complete package with this in just 9 months of development time. So bravo to them, because it was a legit worthy sequel to Modern Warfare 2, in my opinion. The only thing that I would say that Modern Warfare 2 had over this game, well, one of the few things, is the fact that Modern Warfare 2 obviously had like the biggest impact out of any Call of Duty. Like, Modern Warfare 2 put Call of Duty on the map and basically paved the way for it to be the biggest juggernaut that it ended up being. But Modern Warfare 3, I really appreciate the fact that they kind of went in a different direction, because what they wanted to do was they could have done one of two things. They could have given us just more of what we got with Modern Warfare 2, which a lot of people would have probably loved. But at the same time, a lot of people really loved something more balanced, right? Because Modern Warfare 2 never got patched. So it's like, it just seemed like the answer, right? It's like, okay, what we're going to do is we're basically going to make Modern Warfare 3 kind of like a patched, more balanced version of Modern Warfare 2. That was the goal. That was the mindset that they had, and they also wanted to keep players coming back and playing more, and they developed Elite, which would help players on how to get better, right? As well as give them insane amount of stats to track for their own profile, as well as an app that you can download for your phone. You can literally change your class on the app if you wanted to, and then you're right there waiting for you by the time you got home. There were even competitions as well that this game had. You could even win a Jeep back in the day. I remember Pone Star saying that he won a couple of the free-for-all competitions. He won a trip to Hawaii and another trip to Paris. So that is pretty damn cool. So again, with Modern Warfare 3, again, the amount of community support and all that stuff was just absolutely incredible. They added in additional prestige levels. They added in ways to where you can get rewarded for prestiging. So again, all these things had not been implemented in a Call of Duty before. So when you put it all together, it's like we got quite the package with Modern Warfare 3. Now, is there anything that I don't like about the game? Well, I can never really, if I were to judge the game based on how well I play it, that would be wrong. That would be wrong. You can't really judge. Like, if you're struggling with a game, does that make a game a bad game? No, it does not. It just depends on what the game itself offers you and how you kind of play that game, which either works out for you or doesn't. But ultimately, I would say that this game, Modern Warfare 3, overall has a steeper learning curve than Black Ops 1. And to top it all off, there was something else as well. We have to remember that Infinity Ward games are more acoustic than Treyarch games. And what I mean by this is that sound makes an even bigger difference in an Infinity Ward game than it does for a Treyarch game. So that's one of the reasons why Sitrep Pro is insanely broken in the game. I mean, you could hear people coming from a mile away, but you didn't even really need it because footsteps were loud on their own, loud enough on their own. So it's like, well, all you really need is dead silence. You know, Sitrep Pro didn't have to be what it was, but it is what it is, right? So, but with Infinity Ward games, sound was always a big factor, and in a Treyarch game, not as much. You know, it is a factor, but not as much. In Black Ops 1, they did a pretty good job with it. Although I would still say it's still strong. I mean, I never really unlocked Ninja Pro, which would allow you to hear the footsteps even louder. But things were already loud as it was for Black Ops 1, in my opinion. But it just wasn't as prevalent as it is in an Infinity Ward game. Black Ops 2, sound hoarding basically didn't exist, despite the fact that there were perks to make that happen or whatnot. But sound hoarding didn't exist. Everybody had built-in dead silence and amplify or awareness or whatever. Just basically didn't do anything. Thank goodness though, because the map sizes were fine the way they were, and the spawns were fine. But yeah, with and again with Black Ops 3, a little bit more balanced. Black Ops 4, more balanced. Again, I don't think there should ever be a perk that would make footsteps louder or easier to hear. But again, they had to throw in something, right? And the thing is, a lot of good players as well as bad players took advantage of SitRep Pro. Because the thing is, if you, and not only that, a varying of playstyles as well. So it's like, you couldn't say that only campers were using SitRep Pro. No, rushers were using SitRep Pro as well, because you could actually detect where people were, whether they were running or not, using SitRep Pro. It would help you out quite a bit. And if people were obviously running, it would amplify things even more. So, but the thing is also, the one thing that I personally found annoying was the fact that you could also hear your teammates' footsteps fairly easily, which was kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But in terms of everything that we got with Modern Warfare 3, when you look at the entire perk system and everything like that, and also the way you unlock certain perks and everything, it was just a gem. Honestly, Modern Warfare 3 was just a gem. And I was really hyped when the Call of Duty XP event happened all those years ago. But with that being said, it was a game that really, in my opinion, in terms of its execution, of course, it didn't hit everything. It didn't hit everything in terms of the nail on the head, but it gets a really, in my opinion, it gets a really good score in terms of what makes a solid Call of Duty. And Modern Warfare 3 has everything that somebody could want in a Call of Duty, right? It's got, for the most part, the maps are solid in size as well as the way they're constructed. There's a little bit of a learning curve to them as well. Not as simple as the 3-lane maps in a Black Ops game, which is something that, again, a lot of people really like and a lot of people really don't like, but at the same time, you learn it, you take the time to learn it, you're going to succeed regardless of your play style. So that's all it is. The one thing that I will say is that enemies really blend in with the environment really well. So it's hard to see certain enemies sometimes. Obviously, Marksman is a really good perk to have, which will help with that. But despite all that, I wish the game was more vibrant in terms of color. I think that that's something that that you can't really ignore. Support should have been done a little bit differently than it was. You know, good on concept, but not really good in execution. Plus, some of the streaks that were available in support simply don't belong there in the first place. And what I mean is, like, for instance, the Sentry, even though it was only remote controlled, shouldn't have been there because it's lethal. Advanced UAV didn't belong in there. It was something that was supposed to be an assault because Advanced UAV is just way too strong. And then, of course, the Carpet Bomber or whatever, that didn't belong in there as well. So, it is what it is, but again, they have to throw something at noobs, right? They got to give something to the noobs, and there you go. But the concept of it was really brilliant. Specialist was really good. A lot of solo players ran Specialists. Assault, the streaks for the most part in Assault were really good. There were a handful of them that weren't very good, but for the most part, the streaks in Assault were very good. So, were the weapons good? Yes. Were the attachments good? Yes. Can you mix them up in various different ways if you only like to use 1 or 2 weapons? Absolutely. You can make so many different classes of so many different combinations for so many different situations with just one type of gun or a multitude of guns or whatnot. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Modern Warfare 3 had everything that you could want. So in the year 2023, how does Modern Warfare 3 play now? It plays pretty much the way you remember it. I haven't really seen that many cheaters, if at all. It's pretty much the way you remember it, really. A little bit more inconsistent in terms of the connection sometimes, but that's simply because of the fact that there's not as many people playing as there was in the past. However, I think that is changing. I think a lot of players are playing the game. And again, like I said, there's a lot of shit talking in the lobbies going on, but and again, Modern Warfare 3 is a game that I personally appreciate, you know, and right now I'm kind of struggling to be consistent in terms of my performance. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the game, and it certainly doesn't make it a bad game by any means. It's going to be a lot more fun when I continue going through the transition and get to a certain point. But despite all that, I would say Modern Warfare 3 is one of those games that does give you enough to keep coming back and playing it. It really does, and it gives you a lot of variety. And I have to say that I for one, am very grateful that the game was supported as much as it was. And I'm not on the fence about this game. I am on the side to where this game was actually very solid. I know that there's a certain percentage of people that feel the opposite, which is perfectly fine. I really love the support and the kind of comments that you guys have left in the comment section as of recently in the previous video and the previous videos before that. So I really love your point of view. Some of you guys absolutely love a certain flavor of Call of Duty or something like that, and some of you absolutely hate a certain flavor of Call of Duty. for very specific reasons. So once again, hopefully I'm hoping to get something similar going on with this video, and I want to know down in the comment section, are you for Modern Warfare 3 or against Modern Warfare 3, or was it kind of a mixed bag for you to where you don't know how to feel about Modern Warfare 3, or do you just plainly love it or just not like it, and for varying reasons? If you could be so kind to explain your point of view and reasons of why you may like or dislike this game, I'd really like to know. But ultimately, at the end of the day, whether you like Modern Warfare 3 or not, you cannot dismiss the fact that the game in overall, from its concept and in terms of what they were actually trying to do, is something that is to be commended, because this could have easily been the greatest Call of Duty ever, but it wasn't. But at the same time, there are members of the community that truly believe that this was, in terms of the OG Call of Duty games, they will point their finger to this game. They will say that this game is better than Black Ops 1, this game is better than Black Ops 2, etc. And the reasons that they have for it actually justify it, because everything that's strong about this game, in terms of what makes it a good game, its game strengths, it's actually better. It's actually something that that is very justified. It's whenever this game performs strong within its strengths, it's damn good. It's really good. So yeah, are you team Modern Warfare 3 or not? I'd really love to know down in the comment section. So anyway, this video's gone long enough. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. It's been a great kind of transition and ride to kind of go through Modern Warfare 3, but it's also been aggravating because, again, a lot of defensive play getting picked off from different places. But again, it's all basically just a matter of time before I adjust and kind of approach things a little bit differently than what I am now. But with that being said, thank you very much again, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.